Hey, we're the Theatregorillas. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Heath.
And we've got an episode of Jungle Play this week. So before we jump into things, the usual spiel. Our website is theatregorillas.com, spelt the UK English way. And of course, if you go there, you can jump to our various social medias.
Facebook, Twitter.
Yeah, the usual stuff. And, please rate, like, subscribe, thumbs up, whatever it is these days. Just do it and help us out. It's all well and good, and it helps us. Thank you.
Excellent.
Yes, so this week, what are we looking at this week?
This week we are looking at the newest expansion for World of Warcraft, Legion, which was released at the end of August.
Right, so how many expansions is that now?
This now is the... Holy crap.
Too many to count?
Sixth or seventh?
Right.
So you've had Burning Crusade, Wrath of the Lich King, Cataclysm, Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, and Legion. So yep, this is number 6.
All right.
So... basically, I'm just getting back into playing World of Warcraft.
Right. How long have you been off?
I've been off for over a year. So
Okay.
I did not play any of the last expansion.
Okay.
So I've got no idea about it. Don't have any. So I've got no idea what actually that entailed. I did start one of my characters doing it just as I started playing this, but more than anything, I've been playing the newest expansion. As you can see here, we've got the character display, and already there's actually been upgrades in the graphics.
Right.
Doesn't look like it, but it's very subtle in the way that the characters look.
Well, linking back to Banana Reel, where we talked about Warcraft.
Yep.
My extent of Warcraft is the original Warcraft games, not World
Yep.
of Warcraft, and already, like with the times, you can see that there is a huge improvement.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what we've got here as well is we've got the new character that was just introduced for this game, and it's called the Demon Hunter, which is based off the character Illidan,
Right.
who was in the introduced in the third Warcraft game and the main villain of the first
Now,
expansion.
is he wearing sunglasses, or is that just some stuff over his eyes?
That's just some stuff over his eyes. The Demon
Like
Hunters blind themselves.
Oh, okay.
And as part of it, and as you can see, I'm creating a character here, and where I've got the demon-y eyes, and I can also add some horns in as well, and I've got some red tattoos. And you'll also notice as well, it says new, level 98. So with these kind of legend characters,
Yep.
they don't make you start all the way from 1.
Right.
You can start from level 98.
And that's a usual mechanic for these sort of games, isn't it?
Yes, they did it with the Death Knights as well in when Wrath of the Lich King came out.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing similar things with like Destiny when their expansions came out and so forth. And it's to not let new players be so far behind, isn't it?
Exactly. It's also if you're a loyal player and you've already got max level characters, you don't have to go all the way back and go again. So here we are now, and this is my character that I've been playing with, my priest. I play in Shadow, which is one of my specializations.
Right.
Now, with Legion, what they did was they actually took away dual specialization.
Right.
Now,
such as what? Wielding 2 weapons at once?
No, dual specialization is where what your specialty was. So as a Shadow character, my spells are all shadow spells, which means they all deal damage. But as you can see, there's 2 little sections there that are grayed out. Discipline and Holy. They're
Right.
healing spells. So if I want to play like a healing character.
So you're talking about on the right side of that menu?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So now, though, what they've actually done is, I can switch between any of those specializations as long as I'm not in combat.
Right.
So right now I'm in Shadow. If I decide to click here and hit activate, I then change my specialization to Holy, which means that I can now play in a dungeon as a healing character and not a DPS
So long as you're
character.
not in combat.
As long as I'm not in combat, I can do those changes.
And that mechanic introduces what new sort of avenue for your character?
It means that I can play the way I want to play.
Right.
So, for example, if I want to level as a damage character, but I want to play mainly as a healing character, I can have that switch. It also means as well, where before I used to only be able to switch between 2 of those specializations, I can try out all 3, which means I can actually try my hand at all parts of the character.
Right.
Instead of being tied to 1.
So what I find interesting about that is that if you are new to the game, you can at least try out all branches before you dedicate yourself to one in particular.
Exactly right. You might think that you want to be a damage character, But now you actually feel like you want to be a healing character or a tanking character, depending on what.
See, when it comes to these sort of games, I always find myself leaning towards the healing character because I don't know. It's just depending on the game. I just default to a healer because it's easy to do.
Yep.
And I just find the other types of characters so demanding on the player themselves that I just default to that. So that as a mechanic, I find that really clever to allow someone to try before you buy.
Exactly right. And it also means if you decide that you want to play that way, you can. Now, in this little clip here that we're now having a look at, this is called Dalaran. This is the main city in... as you'll remember from our Warcraft one,
right?
When we played it originally, when we watched the movie, that is the city for the Kirin Tor, the mages,
right? Okay, yeah.
So this is the floating city of Dalaran, and this is where all, even Horde and Alliance characters, can all come into this city and get things that they need or teleport to their different halls, but that you can't attack each other. It's a sanctuary,
right? Okay.
So there is no PvP here.
Okay.
So here,
so it's essentially a town.
It is essentially a town. It's a big that we can all go to. You can use banks to drop off gear that you don't want to hang on to.
Right, okay.
You can sell things on auction houses and stuff like that.
And where are we now? Are we still in Dalaran?
No. Well, yes and no. We're now in what's called the Netherlight Temple, which is part of Dalaran, but it's the Priest's Hall.
I said Dalaran, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that.
So what they've introduced in Legion is called class halls. Mm-hmm. So depending on your class, you can go to one of these halls. And this is where you can adjust your artifact weapons.
Yep.
Or you can actually send people out onto different missions as well. So you can get zealots or champions that'll go fight for your cause and send them to different places and do missions for you.
Is this kind of like a mechanic like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood?
Yes, kind of like Brotherhood.
Right.
It's funny that they kind of introduced this into expansion, they introduced the kind of that aspect, sending zealots or champions out to do missions for you. In the previous one, they had what's called a garrison, where they actually added in the kind of like building your own town like you would in the original Warcraft game.
Right, okay.
So here we have the artifact weapons that I mentioned before. Artifact weapons are basically like a specialty weapon that is tied to not only your class, but also, like I mentioned before, your specialization.
Right.
And they give you a special ability. But unlike a normal weapon in the game, you can actually level these weapons up.
Okay.
So here you can see I have to come to this special kind of thing.
But that's a mechanic that's been around in MMOs before.
Yes. Now
has it not been in World of Warcraft before?
No, not really. And when you could always enchant a weapon, but you couldn't level a weapon up.
So essentially, you could only find a better weapon.
Yes.
And that was that.
Yeah, find a better weapon, add a what do they call it? An enchantment, and there you go.
And now, so what are you doing now to
I'm actually changing its color. I can change and customize its color. I've still got, as you can see, areas to unlock. But I can now, it was blue, now it's yellow and green.
Okay, so that's just more of an aesthetic?
More of an aesthetic. Okay. And once again, what you'll see happen here is, as I change specialization, that weapon's gone, and I now have a new weapon. Because each weapon is tied to that specialization.
Yeah. Okay. So you can't just pick up anyone's weapon and use it?
No.
Okay.
So I can pick up, there are like other weapons that I could pick up and use, except they don't have the same stats. Like the stats on this are really good for my character.
Okay.
So I want to use this weapon.
Right. So that's a mechanic that I've seen before. So, for example, to have a relation, Destiny.
Yes.
So you've got 3 classes in Destiny, and certain weapons or armor is locked to those classes.
Exactly right.
Right.
Exactly right.
So that's a standard mechanic.
That's
right?
it. Exactly. Okay. And so now here we are as well in the. Here's my class hall report. And that, you know how I mentioned missions before?
Yeah.
So I'm about to check out the map and see what missions I've got going on. So there we go. I can see I've got a mission that has been completed, and I can now get my... There we go. I got a successful mission there. Yay, I'm all happy.
Awesome.
And there's my champions having a lot of fun, and I get a reward for that as well. Sweet. Get some XP for my characters. He gets to level up again. That's good.
Right.
And that's cool. And now I can send them on more missions. And This is actually also tied to a mobile app, which I do have on my phone as well. So even if I'm not logged in game, I can send my guys on missions.
Ah, clever.
Yeah.
I've been wondering when developers are going to start utilizing smartphones more, because it's not an old mechanic to include an app that ties in side by side.
Yeah.
The latest thing, in particular for example, consoles, I've noticed is like, for example, Hitman. You've got Hitman Go.
Yep.
And with Uncharted, you've got Uncharted Go, or whatever they called it. And whenever you do the mini levels in those games, you unlock actual things that go back to the console game.
Exactly.
And I find that really clever and interesting, and you open up the possibility of getting new players that would not have any idea of the original game on the consoles.
That's right. And as well, that's exactly it. And I do get the like anything that I win and unlock, I can now use on my character. So here as well, I've got the map up. So this map here is the way that they've done the new world, which I'll show you in a little bit as well. Unlike in the other games, the other areas and whatnot, in the world, each part of the world is where you go depending on your level. Mm-hmm. So in Azeroth, that's your main area. Outland, that is kind of like, that's where the orcs are from, but it's been desolate. Draenor is where they're from before it went desolate.
It's funny. In the Banana Reel episode where we talked about this stuff,
yes,
I couldn't picture it, but seeing it finally displayed in front of me, I can now see how they relate to each other.
That's right. And like I said, in different areas that you go to, you have to be a particular level, otherwise it won't unlock. In the newest area, Broken Isles, depending on what area you're in, it doesn't matter because it scales to your level.
Right. Okay.
So if you're a level 101, the characters you face will be level 101.
Right.
So this is another new addition that they brought in. As you play the game, you pick up different gear.
Okay.
Right? You pick up different loot.
Which is a standard thing.
Standard thing. What they've actually made it happen, instead of you having to keep that
I don't
gear,
understand. How is this a new mechanic?
Well, what this does is you can actually now, instead of having it and keeping it, you can actually, it keeps a little file of it.
Right.
You can then go to a transmographer and turn your better piece of gear to look like the older piece of gear. So if you like a particular style or look, you can change to it.
So basically, you can have the new stuff, and if you don't like what we actually modeled it to look like, you can make it look like your old
stuff that you really liked. You might have really liked the older gear.
So if you don't like change, this is a game for you.
That's pretty much it.
Okay.
But it's also got this as well, where anything that's available across your account as well, instead of you having to send it via mail to your different characters, it's all linked in here. So
they actually use mail in World of Warcraft?
Yeah, they use mail. Yeah.
Do they have the Pony Express?
Maybe. Oh, no, it's the Griffin.
Okay. Okay. That was pretty good, actually. Right, so what are we looking at here?
This is a cutscene. So as you play the game and as you quest, you'll get different stories of different characters or different areas.
Right.
Some of it is told through just the questing aspect, but what they've done more recently is that you've actually got these cutscenes which really explain what's going on.
Had they not done that before?
No, originally they didn't have cutscenes at all. The cutscenes were actually only really introduced in very small amounts in Wrath of the Lich King.
Right.
And there was only a couple.
That was the second expansion?
That was the second expansion. But it was only one or two. Then after that, they released more and more and more. Okay. So
they became more popular.
They became a lot more popular. And something as well...
How was the story explained in quests before? Was it just an image with text?
Yeah, reading the quest lines.
Wow, painful.
Oh, absolutely. And even the other, like, you'd go into areas and they'd all say generic things.
Right.
Now they actually speak to you.
Okay.
So they've done a lot more involvement in that.
Well, I suppose that's a nice improvement, but it's not like full motion cutscene.
No, it's in-game footage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that works.
Yeah, it's good. Exactly. It makes you feel what's going on. It makes you feel more attached to it.
All right, fair enough. And so this quest is based on what we just saw?
Yes. This is me following that guy who was just speaking on that little quest that he's on.
Right, okay.
This is a great way for anyone who's watching this to tell me how bad I am at it.
Yeah, send the comments through, please.
You're like, could you even see my character? There I am.
It's Okay, so the lighting aspect. I find this quite dark. Is it only because you're in a dungeon?
Yeah, but the darkness and the lighting is always dependent on time of day. Because obviously, as you're playing it, you play it in real time. So if it's nighttime in the game.
Okay, but you're in a dungeon. Even if it's daytime, it's
still rather dark.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. How would you combat that? Are there spells that you can cast that would generate light, or
not really? Maybe adjust with my lighting settings as well. I could do in game.
So
but yeah.
the old-fashioned way of it seems a bit broke. I'm going to cheat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. All right, sweet. So, okay, question for you then.
Yes.
So this is the latest expansion.
Yep.
Do you rate this expansion?
I actually really do.
Okay, so it's a good step up.
Yeah, I mean, granted, probably I feel like I should have played the last one, being it was the first one I didn't. But unlike, so Miss Pandaria, I didn't really.
Yeah, you just said it's the first one that you missed, so they've now just sold it to you.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So you've pretty much just fallen back into the trap.
Oh, totally did. Yeah. But it's because I played every single one, and Miss Pandaria, I kind of just lost interest in it really quickly as well. Where
is it because it was very left field?
No, not really.
It seems like it to me.
No, because for Pandaria, I was expecting Pandaria for ages because they introduced the Pandarians in Warcraft 3.
Okay.
But it was one character, but it was just more.
Oh, Wireframe Man.
Yeah, it's like a mystical spaceman.
Yeah.
But no, this one, it's got me, and I'm really looking for... I think I'm so glad that I'm starting early
I'm sorry,
on.
but that almost seems like the developer who was in charge of creating that character's look just gave up.
Yeah, he's like, hey, okay, we've got the wireframe on him, let's make him see
Oh,
through.
fuck it. Just put it out as he is. But anyway. All right, cool, sweet. So that's a recommend for you.
Oh, totally. If you're like an MMO player, definitely give it a go.
All right. Well, that's Jungle Play for this week. We'll see you in a fortnight. Don't forget to catch our movie podcast, which is the Banana Reel Movie Podcast, in which we just released an episode on World of Warcraft, the Warcraft movie.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll put it in for the end slate. And, yeah, so we'll see you in a fortnight.
See you, everyone.
Ciao!